This is where it all began. Once upon a time, back when Russia wasn't a thing yet. This has been the center of the oldest Slavic empire, the Kievan Rus. Centuries passed, many things changed, but part of that charm remains. I am Lex Universe, and this is Kiev. Hello Internet, welcome to Lex Universe. So, the winter is coming. Well, not the Russian winter, but the second very next best thing, and that's the winter in Ukraine. So yeah, today we're talking about Ukraine and more specifically about Kyiv, which is the capital of Ukraine. In case you're interested in some more countryside version of Ukraine, you can check out my video about Zhuliany. It's kind of interesting, and it's like this place where nobody visits. But in this video I will aim for Kyiv in the most part. Many of the things that I will say will be applicable for the whole of Ukraine, but Kiev is what we will aim for the most. So in case that's something that you're interested in, let's dive in. Before I get any further, let's dissect the name of the place, because this is kind of controversial, and you can see two versions of the Latin transliteration of the Cyrillic name of Kiev, and that's Kyiv and Kiev. The reason why this is so is very simple. Kiev is the name in Russian and Kiev in Ukrainian. Officially, the transliteration in the English alphabet from Ukrainian is Kyiv, and it's kind of important for them because a long time they have been part of the Russian Empire and the Soviet Union, and there was a very forced Russification in the country. But right now, the official governmental institution in Ukraine use Kyiv, and that's what I will be using as well. You will find also the Russian transliteration in the name because it's still most widely used, and let's say I want my video to be discovered, so soon. So Kyiv is the most populous city in Ukraine. It has almost 3 million inhabitants, which is comparable to the whole of Albania or 73 Liechtensteins. Don't you just love using Liechtenstein as the unit of measurement? Anyway, it's located pretty much in the center-ish of Ukraine. Where would you find Ukraine? It's in the Eastern Europe, although many people consider it like Central Europe. The truth is that the official geographical center of Europe is located within Ukraine territory, so technically it is Central Europe, but for most of the world this is considered Eastern Europe. It borders with Russia to the east, Belarus to the north, Poland and Slovakia to the west, Moldova and Romania to the southeast. Also on the borders of Ukraine you can find Transnistria, which is like this unrecognized state located in Moldova. But when we are about the territorial disputes, there is one more interesting one, and that's the Crimean Peninsula, which is still considered to be part of Ukraine, but Russia considers it as part of Russia, and it basically controls it. So if you want to go to Ukraine, you will probably not be able to get to Crimea. It's located on the Dnieper River, and that flows from the very well-known Chernobyl, so if you want to be full of positive energy, you can go for a swim to the river. No, too soon. So, basics about Ukraine. They use the currency of the Ukrainian hryvnia, they use the Type-C plug outlet, usually don't flush the toilet paper, and drive on the right side of the road. The official language of Ukraine is the Ukrainian. Also, many people, especially in the eastern parts of the country, speak Russian, and also many of the Russian Ukrainians live in Kiev, so you can get by with Russian, although many Ukrainians will not be happy if you speak Russian to them. Saying that, it's still more likely that they will understand Russian than English, so keep in mind, it's been part of Russian Empire and later Soviet Union for a very long time, so many people speak Russian. So, if you want to go to Ukraine, the first thing you have to do is to get in. You have several options, but before I speak about it, most of the countries in the world have visa-free access to Ukraine, especially from the countries that are watching me, and if not, almost every other country can apply for a visa on arrival on any of the international airports. And speaking of airports, let's go to Kiev. There are two international airports. The most important one and the main one that is actually served by the Ukrainian International Airlines is the so-called Boryspil. It's located a little bit further from the city center. You have three terminals. Most of the international flights depart and arrive at the D and F terminals. If you want to go from the airport to the city center, you have several options. There is a train going from the D terminal. It takes approximately 40 minutes, costs 80 Ukrainian hryvnia, and it's probably the most convenient way how to get to the city center. It will arrive at the main railway station. Your other option is to go by bus. It departs from both terminals, from F and D, and will also take you to the city center. This is a little bit more expensive, costs 100 hryvnia, but it could be useful if you arrive at the F terminal. Also, there are buses that will take you between the terminals because they are not connected. So in case you want to transfer somewhere in Kiev, allow yourself a little bit more time, because you cannot do it on the air side. You can also take a taxi. The price is around 350 Ukrainian hryvnia, but there is really no point in that. The second international airport in Kiev is the Zhuliany Airport. It's older. It's usually used only by the budget airlines, more specifically Wizz Air. Basically, all departures are from the D terminal. There is trolleybus number 9 going from the metro station Pavla Sportu, and it takes, I don't know, 30 minutes or so. It costs 8 hryvnia, which is like really nothing. It's like 25 cents. So if you want to save some money, depart from this airport. You don't have a choice. Anyway, on this trolleybus, and this actually goes for all public transportation on the surface, you buy the ticket from the conductor in the train, and then you have to mark it in the machines. So keep it in mind. Your other possibility how to get to Kiev is by train. The main railway station is called Kiev Pechersk. It's located at the metro station Vokzalna, and basically there are a lot of long distance trains going all the way to Baku in Azerbaijan or to Vienna in Austria. So if you want to spend the whole week on the train, you can take such a train trip. But anyway, if you are afraid of flying, this is a viable option for you. When I speak about the central station, there's basically like two stations. There is the northern part where there is also the metro access, and that's like the main central station. There is also the southern part, which is connected with the overpass across the rail tracks. So better arrive a little bit in advance and then allow yourself some time to navigate, because it's quite a large terminal. So you can also arrive by bus. The main bus station is located at the Andriyivskyy metro station. But I don't know, just hate buses. So, and we have arrived. Now we have to move along the city. Actually, Kiev is quite large, so it's definitely not walkable on foot. Although, like, the city center can be accessed by foot. But really, you will have to navigate the public transportation. It's really not that difficult. The general price for any kind of transportation is 8 hryvnia, just like 25 cents, like I said. There are 3 lines of metro, and this is actually like one of the most amazing things about Kiev, actually. The metro stations, especially in the city center, are really stunning. Especially the metro station Zoloty Vorota, which is like, I mean, look at it. It's so stunning. It looks like one of these metro stations in Moscow, maybe. Also, you can find here the Arsenalna metro station, which is the deepest metro station in the world, and it can also serve as the bomb shelter, and you can also survive there a nuclear explosion. I mean, when it's on the surface, not if it's in the station, then you're just vaporized. Getting around in the metro is the most convenient part because most of the writings, most of the names of the stations have been recently also displayed in the Latin alphabet, so you have a much easier way to navigate if you don't know the Cyrillic alphabet. The tickets can be bought in these ticket booths in the metro stations. Quite recently they have started using QR code reader, so you can also buy it online. You just show the QR code to this reader and you get to the turnstile. Also, you can get this Kiev smart card where you can upload some coupons or even like normal metro tickets. Could be useful if you intend to stay longer in Kiev. Also, there is the possibility to pay directly by your card. If you have MasterCard PayPass, then you just use these yellow turnstiles and you will get directly to the metro, and they will just take the amount of money from your card directly. You don't have to buy anything, which is really convenient, to be honest. And the metro operates until midnight. Then you will need to use night transportation. So when it comes to surface public transportation, you have several options. There are buses and trolleybuses, and there is also a tram network. This is not that convenient. This is not that convenient, to be honest, because especially during the rush hours, these are generally really overcrowded, and I mean, we all want our social distance, so I don't know, either be very fat or just use the metro. When it comes to the personal transportation, there are official taxis, but you can also use many of the apps like Uber. What could be quite interesting, there is also this funicular going from Mikhailivska to Poštova Plošťať, and also costs 8 hryvnia, and it gives you beautiful views of the Dnipro River and the skyline of Kiev. So even if you don't need to go there, it could be an experience on itself. And now the second part of the video, where I will tell you about the most interesting places that I visited in Kiev and that I liked the most. And let's start with the most amazing grandmother landmark, and that's the Pechersk Lavra. It's this like monastery. It's the largest religious site in Kiev. It's really stunning, breathtaking. You will see it in almost every skyline picture of Kiev. It's located on this kind of steep slope above the Dnipro River. Really cool. It's divided in two parts actually. There's the upper part of the Lavra, which is owned by the state, and there are some museums. The entrance fee is like 40 hryvnia, and you will also need to pay some extra, I think like 100 hryvnia to take pictures, even in the exteriors, so keep it in mind. And you can find here also the micro miniature museum, which is also kind of a cool thing. Just Google it, it's really cool. The lower part of the Pechersk Lavra is owned by the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. The entrance fee is for free. You can visit here these caves where there's chapels, and it's part of this whole church complex. Really interesting. I think that if you want to enter, you have to like buy a candle for 1 hryvnia. Just that's such a small amount that I'm not even able to display it in euro cents. So just keep it in mind. You can also buy a ticket to the bell tower of the Lavra for another 40 hryvnia. Fun fact about this bell tower is actually inclining for like 40 centimeters, so I mean, Pisa is not the only place where you can find the leaning tower. It's actually far from it, but you know, I wanted to be funny. Another thing that you can visit in Kiev is another church, and there's the St. Sophia Cathedral. Is the oldest church in Kiev. It's almost 1000 years old. You can also climb up the tower, which will give you the great view of downtown. The entrance fee to the whole complex costs 60 hryvnia. So that's one thing. When you hear me saying all these numbers, it doesn't make much sense. This is basically like, it's not even €2, yeah. So just so that you have some idea what the prices for these entrances are. It's really nothing. Another thing that you can visit is the St. Michael Golden Dome Monastery. I mean, I'm not sure why this one is called Golden Dome, because almost every church in Kiev has this golden dome rooftop, so God knows. But they really emphasize this for this church, so can go there. The entrance to the grounds is for free, but it's still a working monastery, so just keep it civil, be polite, be well dressed and stuff. Speaking of being well dressed, let's get back to the caves in the Pechersk Lavra. You really need to be very modestly clothed. Even women need to wear a headscarf and need to have long shirt. Trousers are not an option. Another cool thing in Kiev is the Motherland Monument. This is like the Statue of Liberty for Ukraine. It was built after the Second World War to commemorate all the victims of the war. It's actually larger than the Statue of Liberty, and it really creates the skyline of the city. So it's not that far from the Pechersk Lavra, so if you're there, just head out there. It's a really cool place. And not to mention that it's located on a hill and you will have beautiful view of the whole city. So my another favorite part of Kyiv is the Andriyivskyy Descent, or St. Andrew's Descent. It's like this amazing cobblestone street full of little vendors and museums, and at the top of the street you will find my most favorite church in the whole of Kyiv, and the St. Andrew's Church. And this is the great example of Rococo in Ukraine, which is also kind of somehow mixed with this Eastern Orthodox, architecture. It's really cool, really. So that's another thing that you can visit. Another cool thing is the so-called Zoloty Vorota. You may remember that I already said it. There is this beautiful metro station, but above it there's a reconstruction of one of the former gates of Kyiv. So also kind of cool place. And now let's move a little bit further from the city, because if you are not European, then I think one of the reasons why you've ever heard of Ukraine is Chernobyl. Kiev is the best place where you can originate your trip to visit the exclusion zone, Pripyat, the Chernobyl nuclear plant, and all like the notoriously known places. There is also the Chernobyl Museum in Kiev itself, but you can also find here multiple of state-run agencies that will offer you trips, even multi-day trips to the exclusion zone. And it, you know, when you're in Kiev, this is probably the must. You should do that. It's a little bit pricey, but I believe it's well worth the money, because that's one of the things that you will not see anywhere else. I mean, unless you go for an excursion to Fukushima. I would really want to do that. I could just fly like E.T. calls home. No? Also, Kiev is the home of one of the world's most visited McDonald's. You can find it near the railway station, so if you want to add to this record, you can go for a meal there. I mean, so whatever. Also, Ukrainians are fifth in the world in drinking alcohol, after Russian, Hungarians, Moldovans, and, well, surprise, surprise, Czechs. Yeah, this is not a list that I want to be in the first place. So, it's also a viable place what you can do. You can go for a drink, they have beer, they have vodka. Good. And that, my dears, is Kiev. I hope you found this video interesting. I had a lot of fun searching for the facts. It was really cool. I found this like Ukrainian site that was like Google translated into English, and then I had to switch it for Ukrainian because I understood it better than that. So I really enjoyed this. I honestly really enjoyed my stay in Kiev. It's a great place, and you know, you have probably seen Ukraine in the news in the last few years quite a lot, because it looks like a very unstable place. But it couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, okay, in the war zone to the east of the country, perhaps, but the people in Kiev, and it doesn't really matter whether they're Russian or Ukrainian, live together kind of in peace, so you really don't have to worry going there. And there is a lot to offer. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a like, subscribe to my channel, check out my other social media. You can see the previous videos in this series. We have covered some great places all around the world, and I will be looking forward to you in my next video. Have a wonderful day.